Well, Vernon Wells has packed his bags, going from Toronto to the Angels in a deal that raised a few eyebrows around baseball. Meantime, a couple of old Red Sox are reunited from whence they were idiots, and we use that term affectionately. Johnny Damon and Manny Ramirez joining the Tampa Bay Rays. Great to have you back once again on Yankees Hot Stove. Will these deals have an impact for those teams and in the wild card race, or maybe their division races? Let's talk about it. First, the deal with Vernon Wells on what was kind of wrapping up to be a quiet end of the Hot Stove season. This deal by the Angels sent a few shockwaves for baseball, John.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I just don't get this from the Angels' perspective. It seems to me that they panicked here because they didn't get Beltre, they didn't get Crawford. They end up with Vernon Wells, who had a nice year last year, hit over 30 home runs. But, I mean, $86 million to go for 4 years. I know they got $5 million to offset that, but that still is $81 million for Vernon Wells. He's not that kind of player. He shouldn't be the second highest paid position player in baseball. I think they panicked, and it makes no sense to me. All
right, so Vernon Wells, you see his last 2 seasons with the Blue Jays, certainly had a better 2010. It was a bounce-back year, but what does he have left in the tank for the next 4? Now, in a deal that followed that, the deal that brought Vernon Wells to the Angels, they sent catcher Mike Napoli to the Toronto Blue Jays, but then the Jays flipped Napoli to the Rangers for right-handed pitcher Frank Francisco, so the Rangers get a nice little backup in Napoli there to catch, and the Jays pick up another pitcher. Now, I'm going to get to a question here about Tampa. We mentioned Damon and Manny, Jack. What exactly is Tampa? This is from Jackson White. Going to do with 2 DHs in Johnny Damon and Manny Ramirez? Are they going to alternate in the field?
Well, one of those DHs is going to play the outfield, and that's Johnny Damon. He didn't play much in the outfield last season, but he will be the left fielder in Tampa. And the Rays are trying to add a little bit of offense. They're trying to hope that 2 aging ball players can give a little bit of thump to their lineup. The good thing about it for them is they didn't spend a lot of money on either one of these guys. It's not a heavy investment. It's under $8 million. But Manny just doesn't hit for power anymore. I don't think that Damon is the type of guy who you can rely on day in and day out and think that he's going to be a 300 hitter or 350, 360 on-base percentage guy. But they lost a lot. They lost Crawford. They lost Pena. They traded Jason Bartlett. They're trying to fill in with a little bit of offense, and with their pitching, they're hoping they can scratch something together with these 2 guys.
Maybe try to catch lightning in a bottle for this 1 year. All right, we'll see what happens with that. Now, let's go big picture, and we're going to get to a question from Anthony Picari, and he asks this. I know this is the last show. Thanks for noticing, Anthony, by the way. So what teams are the biggest winners and losers this offseason? And, John, let's start with your winner. Who's the best?
The biggest winners of the teams, I would say Milwaukee. I like their pitching moves. Boston, you got to say, with Gonzalez and Crawford coming in, I like what they did. I kind of like what the Cubs did. You got to give Washington credit for spending money. They've improved. They may have overspent in some areas. You know, those are probably my biggest winners.
You've also got Rafael Soriano signed by the Yankees, so you love that 8th-inning lockdown guy.
Yeah, I thought Soriano was a great move. To me, I mean, Cliff Lee was the best move of the offseason. Right. To be able to get him for Philly, he definitely, obviously wanted to go there, didn't want to go anywhere else. And then I thought Milwaukee was the second best move. And then Soriano, I think, fits perfectly with the Yankees at this point.
And, Jack, do you think it's by acclamation the Phillies had the best offseason? What do you think?
Well, one of my best moves in the offseason is the same as John's. It's Cliff Lee going to the Phillies. Not only that they got him, Bob, but just the way the whole thing happened, how they remained stealth and then were able to swoop in and get Lee. I like Adrian Gonzalez going to the Red Sox. This is something we've heard about for years. I think he's going to be a demon for them in that lineup. And then I think Greinke in Milwaukee, I think that's a place where he can excel. I didn't think that would have been a place for him to come to New York. I never thought that that would work out with the Yankees, but I think in that market, he's going to do well.
All right, now we've talked about the best. What about the worst? We'll start with you.
Yeah, when I look at the worst, I mean, I know John's going to disagree with me. We've had this debate on other shows. I like Jason Worth as a player. I think he's a very good player. I just wouldn't have invested $126 million in him and made him a marquee guy. We've talked about Vernon Wells. John mentioned it. I second that. I have to give you one stat on Wells. Last year, hit .227 on the road. So how much of that thump that he showed was because it was at the Sky Dome? And then, of course, Lance Berkman to the Cardinals. What I don't like about this is they're asking the guy to try and do something that he hasn't done in a while. They're saying play the outfield. He hasn't played in the outfield since 2007, and it's been an even longer time since he's been a regular in the outfield. I just don't think that's worth the gamble.
Can you pack up your home stats if you're Vernon Wells from the Rogers Center and bring him out to Anaheim? I don't know.
It doesn't translate. Anaheim's more of a straight-up place. Rogers Center is a hitter's park. Look at Bautista, all those guys. Wells, to me, bad home run splits, something like a 700 OPS. To me, this was the worst move. It doesn't make any sense to me at all, obviously, but that OPS on the road, very bad sign for me as the worst move. After that, Pittsburgh, I think, just overpaid. I mean, they wanted to bring somebody in, but to spend $8 million for Correa, $5 million for Overbay, $4 million for Diaz, who was non-tendered, makes no sense. And then my third worst move is Aubrey Huff. I mean, he contributed to a World Series champion, but $22 million, 2 years. I think he made $3 million the year before. That's quite a raise for Aubrey Huff. Not a good defensive player. He obviously fit in with them, fit in with Burrell, but to me, that's an overpay.
We talk about some veterans with bad timing. His timing was very good. He jumped on that deal.